That's no moon. It's a Chinese satellite.
Hi, welcome back to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Romantic moonlit walks are about to become a lot more common, at least in one part of China, because the city of Chengdu plans to launch an artificial moon to light up the night sky. Yes, this is no joke. Chengdu is the capital of Sichuan province, which is of course most famous for having all those stupid pandas that nobody likes. And Chengdu plans to launch a fake moon into the night sky by the year 2020. Wow, only 2 years away. And it was reported in China's official state-run media, so you know it's true. According to Wu Chengfeng, chairman of Chengdu Aerospace Science and Technology Metroelectronic Systems Research Institute Co. Limited, according to that guy, the brightness of the artificial moon is 8 times that of the real moon and will be bright enough to replace streetlights. Because street lamps are really so inefficient, much easier to launch a fake moon into space. But Wu says it could save Chengdu about $240 million in electricity costs every year. He says the artificial moon will be 300 miles above the Earth. It will be able to focus light on an area between 6 and 50 miles wide. I know that seems like kind of a big range. The concept is it could be programmed to focus its beam more widely or narrowly, depending on, I guess, which neighborhoods pay their moon bill on time. Now, Wu's artificial moon is actually a satellite that will complement the Earth's natural moon. Here's another scientist talking about the Wu innovation.
Who else but him would have thought of creating an energy source that perfectly simulated full moonlight?
Wow, science is exciting. Wu said the testing for the new moon has been going on for years, but it's finally matured. That's horrifying. But this isn't entirely a new idea. Russia tried to do a similar thing with orbital mirrors about 20 years ago, but they couldn't get it to work. A Norwegian town is successfully redirecting sunlight, but the mirrors aren't in space, just on a tall mountain. Of course, Chengdu's artificial moon is raising some questions. For instance, who's going to pay for it? It's unclear whether funding is coming from Chengdu's local government or the central government, or possibly from a tax on pandas, which I think is only fair. However, the company making it is also the main contractor for the Chinese space program. And China's space program is run by the military. So there are some concerns. First of all, what will an object 8 times brighter than the full moon do to animals that rely on the natural moon cycle to live? We already know that one full moon can make at least 3 wolves howl in the night. With 8 times the brightness, this t-shirt's going to get a lot more crowded. That's actually a point People's Daily brought up. The point about affecting animals, not the t-shirt design. But don't worry, says one Chinese expert, even though the fake moon will be 8 times brighter than the real moon, it will only have a dusk-like glow, so it won't affect animals' routines. Wait, which is it, Chengdu? Will your fake moon be 8 times brighter than the regular moon, or will it just emit a dusk-like glow? Other Chinese officials say it will be powerful enough to illuminate construction sites and disaster areas, or be turned to catch sunlight instead of moonlight and make the day longer. So it's a fake moon that's 8 times brighter than the moon, but only gives off a dusk-like glow, except when it can be used to create eternal daylight. And while I love the potential that has as a weapon to fight vampires, I'm also concerned. Remember, it's a satellite being built by an agency closely tied to the Chinese military. The Chinese military has been making a lot of strides at satellite warfare. What if the Communist Party could use the fake moon satellites to focus light from the sun and fry dissidents, like a kid with a magnifying glass does to ants? Now that would create some real social stability. In any case, I'm sure the pandas won't even notice. They already sleep most of the day anyway, those lazy bums. So, what do you think of China's plans for a fake moon? Leave your comments below. And before we go, now is the time when I answer questions from fans who support China Uncensored on the crowdfunding website Patreon. Jonathan Swansberg asks, I was wondering, how difficult is it to become a journalist in China and maintain your freedom? I keep on seeing journalists being denied visas and having their credentials revoked, but is it as difficult as it seems? It's probably more difficult than it seems. For Western journalists, their movement in China can be restricted. They can be harassed or even roughed up by police when they try to cover sensitive topics. And over the years, many Western journalists have lost their media visas following critical reporting. Most recently, my friend Megha Rajagopalan was denied her visa renewal after her illuminating reports on the persecution of Uyghurs in Xinjiang. Chinese people who work as journalists and news assistants for foreign media have also been harassed and imprisoned. They have even less protection since they're Chinese citizens, and it's worse for independent Chinese journalists. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, China is consistently one of the worst jailers of journalists in the world. As for Chinese journalists who work for state-run media, I think the former president of state-run media CCTV put it best when he said, "Journalists who think of themselves as professionals instead of as propaganda workers are making a fundamental mistake about identity." By the way, I don't report out of Beijing. And yes, I do still get asked if I'm based in Beijing. Thanks for your question. And if you have one you'd like to ask me, join the China Uncensored 50-cent army by supporting the show on the crowdfunding website Patreon. For as little as $1 per episode, you can send me questions and possibly get them answered on the show. And you'll gain access to cool rewards and other special insider events. So head over to patreon.com/China Uncensored or click the link in the description below, or click the orange button during the credits. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. See you next time. As I mentioned, China Uncensored is supported mainly through direct viewer contributions. Go to patreon.com/China Uncensored or click this orange button. Check out all the cool rewards you get for being a Patreon supporter, including, of course, having me answer your questions on the show.